Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of Slicey Boy Saturday here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I'm, as always, your host, Ohio Patriot. And for today's episode, we will be discussing DC53 Fix Blades, as well as D2 and D10. Basically, I'll be going over the differences between the three of those, obviously, is what it is. And we'll just discuss some of the cool DC53 Fix Blades after that's what it is then. So basically, before we start out today, obviously this will be probably the last time you see the little stickies here, because as of next couple days, I finally got pins in yesterday. I'm gonna try and do a bunch of the foam up and soundproof the walls as good as possible using only pins what it is then. So hopefully next few days here or so it'll be done, and then you'll have that'll be covered with the soundproofing. Right behind me it'll be soundproofed, and then of course over on the side will be soundproofed. So, but anyway, so to start out with, we have obviously D2 is what this little katana deal is here from Dragon Creek. It's a pretty nice knife. It definitely feels very good in the hand, and it's basically because of that ridge. Like, it's meant to feel like a katana, I believe is what it is. So, obviously have some cardstock that we're gonna slice through some of these just to show like the difference between how good the actual blade slices and stuff like that. Now, granted, just because this is a larger knife, I don't know if it actually sliced through this as good as some of the pocket knives would, obviously, but we'll try it anyway. So it does slice, obviously. It doesn't slice super well, obviously. Now, granted, if I was going to do that with, let's say, one of the some cardstock on the blade, there, who it is. Let's say I was going to do that with one of the D2 pocket knives that I happen to have one here right now, which is this new one I got the other day from Eafengrow. I actually like this quite a bit. It's got a nice full liner there, obviously. That's a liner lock, but it also has jimping stuff on both the top here and on the back here is what it is. So, the blade is an interesting little kind of, I'm not sure exactly what that would be called. Maybe a sheep's head design on there. Or it'd be like a mix between that and like a reverse Tonto or something, maybe. So, but let's go ahead and cut with that, just to see how different the. Yeah, see, that's much better right there. It's because you have more control with a smaller knife is what it is then. So, it could just be that bigger blade is not, always the best is what it is. And it could just be this not quite as sharp either, for that matter. But obviously this one does actually say D2 on the back of it there. So, moving on. And by the way, if there's no D2 is basically from my understanding is the difference between the three of these things is D2 steel is using a lot of manufacturing here in America. Then you have stuff like what's in my hand right now, which is D10 steel. And from looking this up earlier, it's basically what is used in a lot of rebar and a lot of construction when it relates to reinforcing buildings and stuff like that. So this could be a rebar knife. This could be just, the same material used to do reconstruction or to reinforce construction and buildings and stuff like that's what it is. But this is from a company. This is also from Dragon Creek, if I'm not mistaken. So, and the only thing I don't like about this that I will compare these to, the DC53 knives is what it is that most of those, they'll actually have them written on the back here, or it'll be written on the side here or something like that, what the actual steel quality is what it is, which really does bother me that this doesn't have that. I want to say these are like micarta handles on these. They do feel good in the hand, I will say that. And this does feel good overall. Got a little, what you call it there, for your finger if you want to do it that way. I wouldn't do it that way just because there is that little like hook, little blade right there is what it is. And God forbid you do hurt yourself. So nice thing about that, obviously, too, is it also comes with a piece of paracord already attached to it, what it is. So yeah, cuts pretty decently. Feels about like the other Dragon Creek, though. Obviously, it needs like probably like a little bit more sharpening on it, is what it is. Like maybe like 1 or 2 more strikes of sharpening there is what it is. But not a bad cut overall. And like I said, that's pretty much. This is the only D10 I own right now, is what it is. And as far as my understanding is, D10 is basically rebar. So moving on to the 5 different DC53 knives that I've picked up over the last couple months now is what it is. So first and foremost, we got the Eafengrow, which was the first one I ever got. It also has another little piece of paracord there already attached to it. Got this little clip there that you basically open up and put on your belt there. And then the knife itself has an interesting little take to it here, where you got like the little swoop, I guess is what I call it there. I'm not really sure what that would be considered. Got your nice little finger groove right there if you want to put your finger there. And then obviously tells you exactly what the knife in question is. It's 130 in their line, made of DC53. The handles on this are very nice. They feel very nice. I'm not sure if they're G10 or if they're something else, but they do feel very, very nice in the hand. So we're actually going to go to the other side of the card on this one. Yeah, that felt much better. Like it felt like it went through that a lot easier. So, and like I said, DC53 knives are basically, my understanding, they are Japanese steel, and they're basically what people would call D2 on crack, where they're like way more hardened, they're way more resistant, they're way better to deal with when it comes to overall retention and like edge stuff, like edges and stuff like that, what have you. So yeah, they're just really good overall is what it is then. So next up, we have the first one from a company called SDOKEDC. And this I think was like 30-ish almost. I want to say was what I actually paid for it then. It feels pretty good in the hand. I could see using this as like a chopper of some kind. I could also see it using it in like food prep of some kind if I was out in the woods. So let's go ahead and, ooh yeah. See, that's how you can tell the difference between some of these, dude. Like that one was way easier to cut through. But yeah, left a really, really good edge on that one. So, and that's again what you get for paying a little bit more money is what it is then. Going on to the next one that's also in that line of the same company. I got this little guy recently, which I thought like, this is what bothers me about some of the pictures though, is like when they showed this, it looked much larger than this. Obviously has a little teeny pocket clip for your belt is what it is there. And what's interesting about a lot of these things is like this little bar thing right here. You can actually move this supposedly down depending on if you need like a larger, or if you need to be like a little bit of a smaller belt or whatever the case be. So yeah, just a little teeny baby knife there. I would never trust putting my finger in that little piece right there as it is, just because it's so small. I don't even know why they did that at all. I would basically use this to cut meat if I was going to be out in the woods with it then. Because there's no way you're going to use this to baton stuff. There's no way you're going to use it to do anything like that. You're going to use it specifically for like meat cutting, meat preparation, stuff like that's what it is there. So, and yeah, let's go ahead and do like the, yeah. See, that sliced real easily is what it was. So I could definitely see using that for meat cutting and whatnot. So yeah, super, super slicey right out of the box. The final two that we're going to talk about is another Eafengrow, and then we have a GTKii one that I got recently as well. this is actually the most recent of the DC53 line that I've gotten, which is another Eafengrow, and as you can tell, the knife itself is probably one of the weirdest looking blades ever, and I could totally see them calling this shit in the UK like a zombie knife or something. Probably this is actually the EF155, and obviously, like I said earlier, what's nice about it is they put the actual like blade and what it's made out of and stuff like that. I want to say these are like micarta handles or something on these. They feel a little funky in the hand. I'm not gonna lie. Like that's the only thing I would change. Is I would change it to different scaling is what it is then. But with the exception of that, like it does feel decent in the hand is what it is. And I can see if you're doing like the left hand, it would probably feel much better is what it is there. Obviously, you can put your finger in the little groove there is what it is. Not really sure what the little eyelet hole is right here for. I don't understand that at all. Like, it doesn't make sense to me at all, but it is what it is. This thing kind of reminds me of like the old, I forget what they're called, but they're basically what they would use in like a Latin and stuff like that, like the Middle Eastern countries, where it's almost like a saber sword, I guess is what I call it there. So, but yeah, it has that same kind of look too, is what it is there. But anyway, got a fresh card stock here that we're gonna cut through with this thing. We're gonna do a couple different cuts on this because we want to do it on the top here and we'll do it right in the middle. Here's what it is then too. See if we can get better cuts or not. Yeah, cuts okay at the front there. Yeah, that was a much better cut the second time around though. Not even sure where that first piece went. But yeah, definitely, it's very, very sharp out of the box. I can tell you that right now. And then finally, the last knife of the day for DC53 knives anyway is the biggest blade of them all, which is the GTKii. And I'll tell you what, it took me a while to figure out how to even open this thing, because it's not like the other ones where you just pop it open. You literally have to pull the tab things like this down, and then you pop it on the sides. Here's what it is, and it pops open like that. And what's nice is this has a sliding scale thing too as well, for like if you have a bigger belt and whatnot, you can put your belt in there is what it is then. And then you simply pop it back into place there, and then push the little tabby piece back into place there, and it's locked into place, and that's what it is. So I could definitely see using this in a jungle just because of how ridiculously big it is. And like looking at my hand comparing to the handle on that one, I can literally get a full grip on that and then have some left over to where I'm almost like wanting to hold it with both hands is what it is. So just a crazy, crazy ass knife. I believe when these are not on sale, they're like 33 to 35, something like that. I bought this on sale recently, and it was, I think, like 27 after taxes and everything, maybe 28 actually after the taxation and stuff like that. But it was down to like 25, 26 when it was on sale for like 20% off is what it was there. So, yeah, just a giant, giant fucking blade. And let's do this against the cardstock here. Yeah, just fucking tears through that cardstock like it ain't even nothing. Yeah, just rips right through it, man. So I could definitely see using this as like a literal machete in the jungle and stuff like that. But anyway. So yeah, that's basically what you can get for anything DC53 Fix Blades. And then you obviously have other ones that are like much more expensive that are like, you know, $45, $50, $60, $75, $100, something like that or more. I'm not paying that for them, obviously, because I'm not that retarded and psychotic. Because my opinion is, if you can't get a quality knife for like anywhere from like $15 to like $35, like, what do you, man? You know? And like I said, with this big boy, like, I could definitely see like home invasion kind of thing where somebody like comes in and it's just like, oh yeah, motherfucker. You just come at him with this. So, now granted, I definitely use a gun instead, but you guys get the point. That was what it is. The only thing I don't like about this actually is how it pops back in there into its handle. Or, sorry, how the handle pops back in the sheath is what it is. Because it doesn't always want to pop in right. So you basically have to like reset it in there. And then get it to like pop down is what it is then. And I'm still not sure if this is totally... I think it might just be that it's like a weirdly made or something to where it wasn't made properly for the sheath or something like that. What it is. I don't think I'm putting this in wrong. No, I'm not putting this in wrong. So okay, there it goes. Yeah, it has to be like weirdly lined up is what it is because there's like no thing above the bottom there is what it is. Like it's almost like they need to have like this little top piece right here. So you need a little top piece right there and give it like a little bit more of like the ability to be able to have like a little more room, I guess is what I'd say. Because like they don't do that, it's kind of hard to get back in there. And then yeah, just pop back into place. That's what it is. So yeah, just a giant blade for sure is what it is. And like I said, I basically compare this thing to the katana size wise because they're about the same size, give or take. So if I ever wanted to like battle and stuff, I'd just grab those two is what it is. But it's like melee weapons. And that's the thing about this too. I could definitely see in like a zombie apocalypse kind of situation. Like you got definitely some lengths with this thing, and you could easily, start chopping away at some zombie heads there, from like a foot distance away or so, give or take, to where you would never get bit. But anyway, so yeah, like I said, DC53 is a really good blade steel from what I've seen personally, and the D10 and the D2s as well are, depending on where you get them from, which company you buy them from is what it is. They can also be good as well for that matter. I would prefer, honestly, if I was going to buy some D2, I'd probably go with pocket knives for that, just because of that reason. This is another one that I got recently. This is another Eafengrow. The reason I bought this is because, literally, it kind of looks like a razor. Granted, that being said, I tried using it earlier in such a fashion, and it really does not have the razor sharpness it needs to have to actually be able to shave you is what it is. I'm sure if I tried to shave my beard with it, it probably would do something, but I wouldn't rely on that though. I'd probably go with more of a razor sharp knife, like one of those Mora knives and stuff like that out of the package for the razor sharpness, because I've done that before with the arm and it's sliced off some hair pretty easily where these ones do not, it seems like. One thing I do like about this is it does have that nice like big finger loop where you can get your actual finger in there is what it is. And I think that's specifically why they made this knife the way they did, just to be like a kind of like a razor knife is what it is there. So very interesting scaling on this too, by the way. If I can get there. Like it definitely has like some weird scaling is what it is there. And I don't know if this, I believe this glows in the dark, but I could be wrong about that though. But yeah, just not a bad knife at all. These were on sale for, I think it was around 20 bucks or so, give or take, recently, and it was for their, it wasn't a Black Friday sale, it would have been their Prime Day sale, if I'm not mistaken. So that's also why I got this other one that I showed earlier, which one thing I like about this guy actually is that it has the thumb studs on the side. It can easily be used for thumb stud deployment if you want to do it that way, obviously. And these scales on these ones, they're G10 scales. These very much remind me of the same exact ones I have on that Flessa knife that I have with my ADC right now is what it is, that I paid like $30-something for. So the deployment on this is very nice too, for that matter. Just very, very smooth action entirely. And it should be for, 25 plus is what it is. So anyway. I also like the clip on this too, for that matter. I do like, I'm a fan of the tip down carry is what it is personally. I prefer my clip to be up like that. I don't prefer it to be the opposite way, just because it definitely feels kind of weird like that is what it is then. Which I guess technically with this one, it would be Yeah, that would be tip up, I guess, is what it would be on that side then. But yeah, I prefer mine to be tip down is what it is then, because it's just easier that way. And if you need to like pull it out, you can pull it out easily is what it is then. And know exactly where you're not going to get pokeyed with. So, and God forbid it comes up in your, pocket or something like that, it'll be open like that is what it is, where you could easily, call it up. Where if it was the opposite way, it'd be like that. You might be getting, a little nick or something then. So, I know a lot of people, when it comes to how they carry, a lot of us do carry right or left hand carry is what it is, which is exactly how I tend to carry these. It would be literally just down in the pocket like that's what it is on my left side then. And the reason I obviously carry left-handed with the knife is because right hand is where my, pistol is going to be always is what it is. So, but yeah, this definitely has a really, really smooth action to it. Sometimes a little too smooth. There we go. Yeah, it just depends on how it falls. I feel like they definitely put some lubricant on this at the factory and then wiped it off before they sent it out then. So, but yeah, definitely feels very good in the hand. Scaling feels very nice in the hand, etc. So, going back to the DC53 Fix Blades for a minute though, if I was to carry something as a quote-unquote pocket knife, it would be this little guy right here is what it is. Just because of how small it is, how concealable it is, and the fact that you can easily put that on a belt or something. One thing about that is though, with how small that little paracord wire is right there is what it is, the hole for that. I don't know if I'd really want to do that or not. So it's hard to say on that one. I'm not even so sure a piece of paracord would fit through that or not. Let me go see if I can. I got one right here now. This one might fit through actually. See if I can shove that through there. Hey, I guess that one just fit through there. Well, I guess we found the piece of paracord. I'm gonna put the other one. Is what it is then. So I'm not sure where this even came from. I think it was one of the other knives I had gotten previously. It was like one of the pocket knives. So yeah, I'll put that through there and just have it be fix that up like probably similar to this guy right here is what it'll be. Or I'll just put like a little loop through there or whatever then. I'm trying to see how they even tied that through there just now. Yeah, it looks like it's just like kind of looped through there is what it would be then. Okay, so it'd be yeah, so essentially it would be like a loopy swoop basically is what it is there, which I'm not so sure there'd be enough space to do it like that or not though. I'd probably have to do it just like I have it right now is what it is. Because I don't think you can get both sides through that thing is what it would be then. Let me try that is what it is while we're here on camera. So essentially you'd be shoving the whole piece through there. Yeah, there's not enough room to do that is what it is. It's too big when it's doubled up like that. So you have to do a single lid is what it is then. Which is fine. And will work. It's just all about getting it in there is what it is. Of course, now that I pulled it out, it won't go back in. Son of a bitch. There it goes. So yeah, I think I probably have to do it like a little bit differently as what it is then. Maybe just do like a little like tie off at the very end there and then do another tie off at the back part is what it is then. So double knot there, so it'll be. Just do the same thing at the very end, probably. But yeah, so anyway, basically, what we ended up with is a pretty decent blade is what it is there. So hopefully I'll see it together. I'm not sure. Didn't look the greatest, obviously, but it's better than nothing. So maybe I'll just leave it minus the paracord for now, is what it is then. But yeah, like I said, I think this was around like 25 or something when it was on sale recently. So, and I could definitely see using this to cut up like a steak or like some ribs or something like that if I'm out in the wilderness. Now, granted, if you're gonna have to use it for, you know, self-defense purposes, like, yeah, maybe get a little bigger or something or other than. So, I mean, if I was gonna be out in the woods, this would not be my only knife. Obviously, I would have probably its big brother right here with me, just because it's a lot bigger, it's a lot better, and it's just easier to, you know, have as like big sticky basically. Well, see, that's the thing though. Like, the problem with buying guns is that unless I go to a flea market and get something, I have to literally do background checks, and I don't have an active ID right now that has my current address on it, is what it is now. Versus if I go to Amazon and buy knives, you don't need a background check for those, and you can easily just get a bunch of, you know, things. To answer the overall question, I have at least enough pocket knives right now to pretty much fill an entire knife box, is what it is, which does say something at this point. For fixed blades, it's probably about 20 something-ish, I'm guessing now. I would say, because I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the DC53 knives. I got one D10. I got probably about 5 or 6 D2 fixed blades, and then like a bunch of other stuff is what it is then. I mean, I could do that too. It's private sales here in Ohio, so it doesn't really matter. But again, it's a whole thing. I don't feel like doing that, what it is. So I do need to get my ID changed over though one of these days, because I do need to be able to vote pretty soon. And I know I can't vote if I can't have an active ID, is what it is here in the state. And that's going to be November 4th, I believe what it is then. Which really for me here, where I'm at right now, would be me voting for city council and stuff like that. And I think a mayor or something like that would be then, or something is up for re-election. Which the thing is, I'm only gonna be here for like another, 6 months or so. Like, do I really give a fuck at this point? Like, who's mayor and who's city council and stuff? Like, I really don't, honestly. Now, granted, that being said, if I was gonna be here long term, I'd be like, yeah, I don't want to know who the fuck my mayor is and who my city council is, and they're a bunch of scumbags. Like, fuck them, what am I as what it is then? But overall, I really don't care right now is what it is. So, but anyway. So I do need to do my ID up one of these days. That's what it is, just so I can go back and buy like a different lower or something like that for one of my ARs, is what it'll be. But yeah, overall, I'm gonna hopefully get something here before Black Friday done, so I can at least have something if I want to go up there for Black Friday or something. That's what it is then. But like I said, I do like my little baby Perry knife in the DC53 configuration. I also like quite a bit this new bad boy, the Eafengrow, just because of it having that crazy like saber look to it, is what it is. And this does feel pretty good in the hand, even like I said, without having to what you call it. I think what's throwing me off with the scaling is it actually has like scales on it. And so it's basically like that weird like texture where it doesn't have anything in the middle there, where it like hits across my hand. Then it just feels like very awkward is what it is then. So, like I said, if you have a glove or something on it, probably feel better is what it is then. Now, granted, by comparison, when you compare this to that GTKii scaling there on that one, this actually feels a lot better in the hand when it's a bare hand compared to this guy right here is what it is. So, and I want to say these are both about the same price, give or take. And this actually, I think, might be more now that it's not on sale. So, but yeah, it's not a bad deal overall. That's what it is. And like I said, it's nice. It's nice to have a variety of stuff. And really, the reason I have gotten a lot of knives over the last 6 months or so, is really because if something does happen, you know, like let's go ahead and say grid goes down or whatever the case be, I want to have enough stuff that I can pack into different bags and whatnot and like hand off to my family and everybody else like that I'm gonna be around is what it is then. That everybody will have a decent knife and then maybe like a shitty backup is what it is then or something. Versus if I didn't buy as many as I did now is what it is, I wouldn't have the quality stuff that I have right now is what it is then. Like personally, I would basically do my first pick of stuff. Like if I was gonna go into wilderness or something like that, what I would take with me is this big poppy right here, and then probably these two SDOKEDCs, and then probably like another blade as well that would be like maybe like a small pocket knife or something like that, like whatever my DC is, and then maybe like have like something like that as a backup even for that matter. And it would be like so it would be 2 pocket knives and then like 3 fixed blades it would be, plus whatever's in my gear pack for that matter on top of that. So it'd be like a life straw or 2. Obviously some couple guns, some ammo, etc. And yeah, it would just be like, you know, like a long-term pack is what it is there. So anyway, I'm gonna check to see what time my stuff's supposed to be coming now. Is what it is. Oh, they got down to 4:30 to 7:30 now for the window. I literally have some totes coming in today is what it is that I'm gonna have that are big enough now to where I can actually put some of the stuff from these boxes in them. And then hopefully I can unpack some of the boxes, finally get rid of some of that stuff, and it'll be able to obviously pay for my overall excursion of knifing at this point is what it is then. Or knife buying, I guess it would be, I guess what I call it honestly at this point. But yeah, like I said though, they're pretty good knives overall, I think is what it is. And I kind of wish I really wish honestly going back I would have looked into better like the actual like steel quality, some of the stuff I bought early on, because if I had done that, I would never bought that stuff at all probably. Because there's definitely some shit just sitting around here right now that it would be like in a pinch, I would basically throw to somebody, just be like, here you go, kind of situation, where it'd be like a lot of the like 440 steels and like the lower like Oz's and stuff like that. What it is then. Not that there's anything wrong with like Oz 10 or Oz 8, but like again, it really is about like, you know, what you want it for and stuff. Because I know with Oz 10 and Oz 8 and stuff like that, they're much easier to like sharpen up versus the DC or the D2 and the DC53 and stuff like that. It's a lot harder to sharpen, my understanding is, but it also keeps an edge retention way the fuck longer is what it is than a lot of these other ones do. Or these other ones, they'll dull out pretty quick, and you can literally, there's a video here on YouTube of some dude with the this GTKii right here is what it is, and he's just chopping the shit out of a fucking like entire log with it, and it does not even dull at all. So that should tell you exactly how good that quality knife is what it is then, for being like a $30-something knife is what it is when it's not on sale. When it's on sale, it's like 25-ish, give or take. So yeah, definitely worth investment for sure. Now, granted, that being said, like what he was doing, where he was like taking like a smaller log and like batoning the shit out of a bigger log, would I do that with that thing? Probably not, unless that was like, like unless I really wanted to like put it through its paces and stuff like that, and I needed to like have like a bunch of logs and stuff like that for that reason. Now, granted, I would hope that I found like some smaller logs or some smaller sticks at that point that I could just easily take over to the fire and not have to do all that through is what it is then, because really my thing is I understand batoning and stuff like that, but at the same time, like it just seems like a dumbass thing to do, because I don't care how good the knife is, eventually it will break because you're doing stupid shit like that with what is there. Whereas if you were literally just using it to like chop through something or using it to like cut through something, whatever the case be, it could easily cut through all that stuff is what it is. You don't have to like beat the fuck out of it to like break the tip off of it or whatever the case be. So yeah, it's just a silly ass thing to do. Like I get what you're trying to do to show that stuff, but at the same time, like there's no reason for it is what it is. So anyway, but on that note, I am going to call it a day for this one. I will be back. No, I don't know if Honda's going to do a chat tomorrow night or not. I know mostly he's been just doing the Gate Frog thing as a Tuesday chat now instead of doing it as a Sunday chat. So I don't know if we'll be back to Sundays or not now or what have you. So it might be tomorrow night. It might be elsewhere then. But yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at right now is what it is. And I think I'm going to go take a nap for about an hour or so before my stuff arrives as what it is then. Just because I am extremely exhausted right now. Don't feel the greatest at all. And really just didn't get a lot of good sleep last night at all, for that matter. Just because of everything going on right now, and plus with it being quiet like this, hope it'll stay quiet like this and not be a bunch of train noises in the next hour or two. So really, I tend to sleep when the trains are not going through is what it is then. And do like midday stuff, and thankfully there's nobody out and about, no screaming fucking kids around here, which is one of the things that's irritating the shit out of me in the last couple of weeks now is what it is. There was actually some dickhead last night who was I don't know if they have like a four-wheeler or what the hell they had down here, but it's like some neighborhood kid that has either a quad or it's a like dirt bike or something that likes to use this little dead end here is what it is to fuck around with. It's like, dude, just fuck off. Like, stop doing criminal shit down here. So, anyway. But yeah, that was a fun experience when I was trying to nap last night, like 7:30, 8 o'clock last night. So, but anyway, to reiterate though, DC53 knives, they're pretty good. And I think we've tested with the cardstock today, like how good they can be and how easily they can cut is what it is there. And yeah, if you really want a sharp knife, good quality knife, good retention, just solid lockup, solid go-to is what it is. Just get something there, man. Whether it be an Eafengrow, whether it be a SK, what is this company again? Yeah, SDOKEDC, or whether it be a GTKii or something else for that matter. Like, they're all good quality is what it is. So, you can't go wrong with any of them, honestly. And they're all around the same price point. They're all around like the $25 to $35 price point usually without any kind of sales. And when they're on sale, they're around, like 20, 25, no matter what. So, yeah, always a good deal. Always a good investment. So, and like I said, I think long term these will definitely be a lot easier to have around, a lot easier to store and stuff like that, and just what have you then. Now, granted, that being said, the only issue obviously with some of these, like the big boy like that, is it's really hard to store these in some of these bins that I have around right now. Whereas unless it's like a larger tote, it just doesn't have the length on it to actually store in something that's, like a 13 or 14 gallon tow is what it is there, because they're just like just a little bit too short for that is what it is then. Now, granted, they're perfect for stuff like, you know, this guy right here is what it is, but they also do not work well when it comes to some of the other larger blades of what it is there in their boxes. So, but it is what it is, and it's something you gotta realize that when you're buying a giant blade, like sometimes it's just not going to fit where you want it to fit then when you're storing it away then. But other than that, though, that's pretty much where I'm at for the day. Like I said, I will be back later. Probably, I don't know if I'll do another stream tonight or if I'll do one tomorrow maybe. If I do one tomorrow, it'll be the whole Charlie Kirk thing that we discussed on Friday with Freedom Friday. And then a couple other things that have come to light since then, obviously, of what's going on currently with the whole Iran-Hamas peace deals and stuff like that and what have you. But, yeah, overall, there's definitely some weird stuff going on right now, both here on the home front internationally, that needs to be dealt with accordingly. And I think one of the big ones, before we go today on this one, even though this is a Tail End Knife Chat, I will make this political for a minute, because the current Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, is now trying to put military bases on our country's soil from other countries. Specifically, I believe it's Qatar is now trying to put a military base in our country's soil, and it's like, how the fuck is that not beyond high treason at that point, dude? Like, you do not have military bases from another fucking country on U.S. soil, dickhead. What the fuck are you thinking, bro? Or are you just your head just so far fucking ass? You don't know where the sun shines is what it is then. Like, totally unconstitutional, bro. Totally some shit that really should not see you in that position of power at all right now is what it is then. So, yeah. I don't know what the fuck these people are smoking right now, but it's definitely some good shit, obviously. To where they're living in their own fucking worlds or something like that, if that'd be the case then. But I could easily see that technically being like a spark off to a revolution at some point in the future, if that'd be the case then. Because it would be people doing high treason and shit then and not being, you know, removed from power because of that's what it is then. So, but anyway, only time will tell. Obviously, I think there might be enough backlash right now just because of the people that have already called it out for what it is right now. That hopefully it won't ever happen, but again, we'll see. And if it does, if they do try to make it happen, like, nah, bro, like, stop fucking blowing Islam at this point. Like, tell those fuckers to fuck off out of this country entirely and move on then. So, anyway. Till later. I'll see you guys on the next one. Always be carrying. Always know your outs. Always be situationally aware, etc., etc. And always buy quality knives is what it is, because, you know, you can go on Amazon right now and buy, you know, 50 different knives that are all 10, 20 bucks, or whatever the case be, or some combination thereof. It might not be the best quality knife is what it is. But, you know, when you start finding the better quality knives that are, you know, the 25s, the 35s, something like that, but then they go on sale for, you know, 20% off, 30% off, half off, whatever it is there. Even some of these are like $60 knives, honestly, that are on sale for half off. I think this actually, I want to say this, one of these, I do believe was like 50 or 60 bucks recently and went on sale for like 30 something. And that's when I picked it up, is what it was. In fact, it might actually be this guy right here is what it is, than this Eafengrow that I got recently. Wait, I pay 60 bucks for this? Fuck no. Did I pay 30 something for it? I believe that's what I paid for is what it was. So, but anyway, again, I would say wait for sales on that one, because really, I don't truly believe that any knife is worth over $50 what it is there, unless it's going to be like the be all end all and it's just never going to rust or anything like that. Like, I could see maybe like a diver's knife or something like that, maybe being like 50 something, maybe 60 something, but like, would I ever pay like $150 to $300 for a knife? Fuck no. Because again, that's actual gun money at that point, man. And to me, like, you shouldn't have to be paying $100 for a knife to have a good knife. You could easily get something that is still good quality for, like I said, like really it's like that fit. I would say like the $18 to like $28 price range, give or take, is like the real price range you want to get into, where you can get a lot of good quality stuff at that point. Then at that price point, I should say, is what it is then. And I believe every single thing I show today is roughly around that same price point as what it is then. It was like anywhere between like 18 to maybe like 30-ish or so, give or take. So, you know, and obviously that does add up over time. Like that's going to add up to a gun eventually is what it is there. But again, you have, you know, 5, 6, 7 knives for, you know, the price of what was like a cheaper end gun is what it is then. So anyway, on that note, I will see you guys in the next one, which will most likely be a grandstand episode. Until later, for next week's episode, I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. Honestly, I might just do like a review or something else, or maybe just like a little, like I don't know if I've done a pocket knife versus fixed blade one yet or not. We might do something like that, honestly. Or we may just do something else where it's just like a review of like a single knife for like 10, 15 minutes and then just go from there and do that kind of format in the future, what it is then. So anyway, other than that, that's where I'm at for the day. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out, stay safe, stay vigilant, all that good stuff. And have a good one, y'all. Later.